Okay, quick feedback if it is visible.
Yes, sir, it's
Yes,
visible
sir.
and audible.
Okay, fine. So I hope you have gone through the previous lectures. Now there was some gap also. So picking up from where we left last time, we were discussing some different things than what we have been doing so far in conventional space vector PWM. So far what we have discussed, that any vector which we need to realize in a sector in a space vector based PWM, we can apply a sequence like this 0, 1 to 7 or 7 to 1, 0, where the time for 0 and 7 are divided equally and time for 1 and 2 are computed on basis of the position and magnitude of the voltage vector. This we have seen. Now we have seen that actually in the realization of that voltage vector, let's say Vs at angle alpha is there, the contribution from 1 and 2 is sufficient to realize that vector. There is no need to actually apply the zero vectors. Zero vector is applied only to maintain a constant switching time. So TS interval we want to make as a constant number. So whatever is the remaining time, there we are applying these vectors to maintain it constant. Now, it is not necessary when these zero vectors, of course, they have zero magnitude, so they cannot contribute in realization of any magnitude or any angle. So if they are not contributing, there is no particular need to apply both the vectors in the same subcycle or same switching cycle. We can have simply 0, 1, 2 given as our sequence for realization of any vector Vs alpha, where T1, T2 are again computed similarly how we have done for 0, 1 to 7, and then for whatever zero time we are getting this tz, we apply only one zero vector which is 0. So this becomes our sequence 0, 1, 2. Similarly, we can have another option. So we can apply only this 0 vector 7 and the two active vectors. That's all. And we can realize our vector. There is no need to, no particular compulsion to apply the other 0 vector. Now we try to understand that if we are not applying both the 0 vectors, we may have another option that we can split the time for one of the active vectors. Similar to how we were splitting the 0 vector time, we can now split the active vector time. So some sequence like 1012 or 2721. Now, what are the advantages and all that we will see later, because now for this examination I have to keep in mind, and we will complete only a limited thing. So I don't want to leave anything open-ended, at least before examination. So as of now, you take that these are the sequences which are also used. Now, what is actually happening in these sequences that we tried to see? So when we have this sequence 0, 1 to 7, what we are having that each phase is switching once when we apply these four voltage vectors. So R, Y, B, they are sequentially switching either RYB or BYR, this order. So when we have 0, 1 to 7, the order is this RYB. And when we have 7 to 1, 0, it is first the B vector or B phase which is switching, then Y phase, then R phase. So overall, in the conventional space vector PWM, we have each phase switching once in one sub-cycle or switching cycle. Whereas if we go for the other PWM, this sequence or vector sequence, what we find that if we apply only 0, 1 and 2, so what will happen here? Our R is switching once and Y is switching once, and that's all. Which means what? Our B phase is kind of clamped or fixed to a particular value which is minus VDC by 2. On the other hand, when we have 7 to 1, In this case, what is happening, our R is always positive, which means it is clamped to plus VDC by 2, whereas B and Y are switching once. So this is nothing but the sequence when we have modified. Actually, what we have tried to achieve is the bus clamping PWM. So that is what happens when you try to modify the sequences other than conventional space vector PWM. We get different PWM techniques, what we have already done in our carrier based PWM schemes. Let's say sine triangle or third harmonic injected PWM and all that. So in these, whatever sequences, special sequences we were trying to achieve, or whatever special things we were trying to achieve, that we are achieving just by changing our sequence a little bit. So we do not need to compute what is the common mode for this. This computation is not required. We do not need to know that what is the limit for our modulating signal and all. We need to simply apply the sequence according to the computed times and the switching cycle time period, TS. So this is what we saw. And then we tried to see some we clarified some doubts regarding the overmodulation and bus clamping PWM. So we saw that these two are essentially different, because in overmodulation, when the phase is not switching, it is not because we have tried to make the phase like that, but this is happening because our DC bus voltage is not sufficient. So our modulation signal must cross this limit to maintain the same fundamental. But once we cross this limit, we are also losing linearity. So there is no any surety that you will get the particular output voltage for this particular modulating signal. So that linearity is getting lost in overmodulation, whereas in the bus clamping PWM, we are still able to maintain our linearity, and yet we are getting a reduced switching energy loss because of reduced switching frequency on an average. So this is what we have seen. So here we need to compute the common mode, what to add, what to do. So this is what we have seen. Then we tried to see in the complete hexagon that what is happening with different vectors or different phases. So just to understand like where we can clamp what phase. So what we have seen that if we take this theta equal to 0 as our reference point, so then the R peak, the positive and negative peak happens along this R axis. So along this vector 1 plus minus minus we have R positive peak, and along this vector 4 plus minus plus plus we have negative peak of R. Similarly, we have other phases also having peak at different points. So for example, B phase will have negative peak at this point, Y phase will have positive peak at this point, then B will have positive peak at this point, and Y will have negative peak at this point. So these are different locations at which different phases are going or attaining their peak value. Now, when we have these peak values located, we can certainly know where a particular phase is crossing 0. So for example, R phase will cross 0 at this axis, which is perpendicular to the R axis. So obviously at theta equal to 0 and theta equal to 180, we have 0 crossing of R. So this is what this shows, which means on this side of this whatever orthogonal axis or perpendicular axis we have drawn, on right side of that we have R phase having a positive value, and on the left side we have R phase having negative value. Similarly, we can demarcate other ranges over which maybe Y is positive and then Y is negative, or B is positive or B is negative, and so on. So what it will do basically, it will give us position where we are trying to achieve the clamping. So for example, in the 60-degree clamp, what we have tried to do, we tried to clamp the R phase between 60 degree and 120 degree, and on the negative side between 240 degree and 300 degree. So if you see here, what is the range that what we are talking about, 60 to 120. So for this theta equal to 0, this is the range over which we can clamp R. So for the continuous clamp, 60-degree clamp, which is near the peak, 30 degrees around the positive peak, and similarly 30 degrees around the negative peak. So this is where we can apply that sequence 7 to 1, or a sequence something like 7, 6, 1. So what this will do basically, whenever you avoid the state 0, which means minus, 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 what we are doing, we are avoiding the switching of R phase from 0 to minus. So that is why only 0 vector 7 is used over here in these sequences during this interval. And similarly here, because we have R phase at negative, we will use only 0 vector 0, which is minus, 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 so that there is no change from R phase, no change from this state to this state. Minus to minus, there is no change. So this is how we can achieve clamping. Now we have freedom. When we have microcontroller, we have freedom what vector we want to apply. So we can say like, okay, during this interval theta equal to 60 to 120, do not apply this voltage vector 0. You don't apply that. So what we will have only 1, 2, 7, 6, all these associated in this range. So nearest active vectors are 1, 6, and 2, and the 0 vector 7. That is all we will apply in this range. Similarly, we can allocate for B, Y, and so on. Understanding my point? Any confusion over here?
No, sir.
Everyone? Clear for everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let us say if we try to achieve our 30-degree clamp, that is also called split clamp. So here again, you may go back and see what range we have identified for clamping and all. So the trick is, this is the sequence. So if you just change the 0 vector in this sequence, let us say instead of 7 to 1, you make it 0, 1, 2. So just changing the 0 vector from 7 to 0 will change your clamping. So this was your 60-degree continual clamp, and this will become your 30-degree split clamp, 0, 1, 2. So these are small changes. When we do, our complete PWM is changing. So that is why the space vector PWM is so powerful. By having a small modification in this sequence, we can completely change our PWM from one to another. In carrier comparison method, we saw that if the common mode is something like this for 60-degree clamp, it will look completely different for 30-degree clamp. It will have much more faster frequency and all. So here that is not the case. We do not need to worry about what common mode is. We can simply interchange our zeros. So instead of 7, just start applying 0 in that particular zone, 60 to 120. So what we will have, 0, 1, 2 applied over here and 0, 1, 6 applied over here. And then we can achieve our 30-degree split clamp PWM. Now the question was how to apply these vectors over the complete hexagon. No, we are trying to achieve something, which means getting a good PWM. Now, for getting a good PWM, the symmetry is very, very important. So how to achieve symmetry? This was the question, right? I think Ashutosh or someone asked.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us learn that, okay, we are saying that we have a sequence something like 0, 1 to 7 or 7 to 1, 0 or something like 0, 1, 2 or 7 to 1, these kind of sequences in the sector 1. But what about other sectors? This we need to understand, because ultimately we need to apply these for complete hexagon. Now, some more things, let us try to understand about this, about these vectors. So let me take this. So these are the building blocks which we need to understand before synthesizing any PWM, what we are trying to do. Let's say now we have states defined like this. And then we have minus, minus, minus and plus, plus, plus over here. So we can name these also in this order. Now, if you see the state 1 and state 4, these two are 180-degree apart. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So obviously, because plus minus minus or vector state 1, this corresponds to positive peak of R phase. And the state minus plus plus, which is exactly opposite. If you see, every phase is just inverted. So from plus minus minus, it has become minus plus plus, which means we are actually going 180-degree away from whatever we were applying. So this corresponds to the negative R phase or negative R peak. Similarly, we have state 5 and state 2. These are also 180-degree apart. So we have minus minus plus, which is exactly opposite plus plus minus for vector 2. So B phase positive and B phase negative. So this is what we are trying to achieve over here. And similarly, the vector 6 and 3. These are also 180-degree apart. So exactly opposite of whatever we were applying. So if this was minus plus minus, now we are plus minus plus. This is one observation. Now second observation is the phase the vector 1, 3 and 5. These are 120-degree apart from each other. And similarly, we have 2, 4 and 6. These are also 120-degree apart from each other. Another important observation. And one more observation which is very, very obvious is that 1, 2, similarly 2, 3, then 3, 4, all these are 60-degree apart. So the next vector is 60-degree apart from the previous one. So these are some of the observations which we are going to use in our synthesis. Now, first symmetry condition, what is that which we try to achieve? What is the first symmetry condition? Answers?
Full wave symmetry.
Full wave symmetry.
Yes. So full wave symmetry means what? What we have understood from full wave symmetry is that the starting point must always be same, isn't it? So whether it is modulating signal or the PWM waveform, anything, wherever we are starting at theta equal to 0, the theta equal to 360 must exactly be same, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So similarly here also, wherever, let's say if you take this as reference and you are placing your samples in this complete hexagon or complete fundamental cycle, what you must ensure that always wherever you have one sample located, you must start every time from there only. So which means what? You must have integral number of samples in your complete hexagon. Is there any confusion in that?
No, sir.
So in complete cycle, you must have n samples where n is any integer. I am not saying odd or even or whatever. And hence n by 6 must also be an integer. So if you maintain n by 6 as an integer, obviously n will be an integer. So you cannot say that your n is equal to 5 and we are going to get no. This in every sector you must have integral number of samples. So n by 6 must be an integer. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now you can have any number. So this n by 6 could be 1, 2, 3, 4, anything. I'm not saying it must be odd or something. So similarly, n must be 6, 12, 18, 24, and so on. So this should be your number of samples in the complete hexagon. And in one sector, it must be integral. Now, when we have particularly conventional space vector PWM, then we have limitation that we can apply only this vector sequence 0, 1 to 7 or 7 to 1, 0. When we have this restriction, then obviously we come to conclusion that n must be odd. So I mean this number n by 6 must be odd. So that is where n by 6 becomes 1, 3, 5 and so on. So which is why for conventional space vector, we have these samples in the complete hexagon. Only for the conventional space vector PWM. If you change the type of PWM, let us say you go to bus clamping or any other sequence, this is not necessarily true. So, but what is universally true is that you must have integral number of samples in your sector. So 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Or in the hexagon, you must have multiple of 6. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So if you take, for example, the sequence 0, 1, 2 or 7, 2, 1 or any other, some advanced, let's say 1, 0, 1, 2 or 2, 7, 2, 1 or even something little more different, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, then 1, 2, 7, 2, 7, 2, 7, something like that. These are all sequences with which you can synthesize your PWM. So these need not follow what conventional space vector is saying. These are all different PWM techniques. So this can have their own number of samples in the sector and then position of that sample. These all are different. For a particular conventional space vector PWM, we have seen that it must be odd in the sector and the position is located some that we have located such that we have one sample definitely at 30 degree and rest are allocated symmetrically around that. This is only for conventional space vector PWM. Any confusion in that?
No, sir.
Any confusion? Any confusion? Speak quickly. Okay, so I take that as no. So now, what is the next symmetry condition which we need to ensure? Someone?
Half-wave symmetry.
So half-wave symmetry means what? What does it say?
Odd number samples.
What does half-wave symmetry say? What we should have? Someone, please. Anybody?
F theta should be equal to F minus of F pi plus theta.
Exactly. So what we have seen that if we have VRO theta, then VRO 180 degree plus theta must be negative of that, or any VXO, any phase must follow this condition. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, when we have carrier-based PWM, then what we said like, okay, if we have odd multiple of our fundamental frequency, the carrier frequency is odd multiple of fundamental frequency, then we automatically maintain this for carrier-based PWM. For low switching frequency PWM, where we were having alpha 1, alpha 2 and all those angles, switching angles, we ensured this, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Clear, no? Any confusion in here?
No, sir.
So in space vector, what we say that whenever you are applying any particular state, let's say Vx at theta. So I will say at theta, if your applied vector is some Vx, then at 180 degree plus theta, you must apply vector B, which is exactly opposite of Vx. Getting my point? So, for example, if I bring this down again, what it says, if you are applying vector 1 at this particular angle, at this particular theta, let's say I take this as theta, then exactly 180 degree apart from that, so what we will apply? Vector 4. Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes.
If at theta I have vector 1 applied, so at 180 degree plus theta, what I must have?
Vector 4.
Vector 4. Similarly, if I have applied vector 2, then what I should have at 180 degree plus theta?
Vector 5.
Yes. This is the symmetry. When you maintain, you automatically have half-wave symmetry in the PWM waveform. So, if let us say your sequence is something like 0, 1, 2, 7, and at this particular point you have applied 1. So here what do we apply? We apply 4, and the sequence may be something like 0, 4, 5, 7. This is the meaning of that. When we are synthesizing, this is what we must ensure. The sequence, if you are going in this order 0, 1, 2, 7. So at this point, when you are covering this or realizing that particular vector, your sequence will become 0, 4, 5, 7. Getting my point? Sorry,
Yes,
it
sir.
should be 7. It should be other way. It should be 0, 4, 5, sorry, 7, 4, 5, 0. So the 0 vector 7 is actually closer to this. Getting my point? Now you see automatically these 0 vectors are also swapped. So what we say that 0 and 7 are also 180 degree apart. Basically these are dual. 0 and 7. Dual means whenever you have 0 at one place and you have to apply the other vector, the only other option we have is 7. Here we have different options. When we are going 180 degree apart, for one we are applying 4, for two we are applying 7, and so on. Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So if any vector, let us say, is at this position and we have applied something like 7, 2, 3, 0. So exactly opposite what vectors we will have for realization?
0,
Here
5,
we
6,
have
7.
0, 5.
Yes, 0, 5, 6, 7. Clear? So this is as simple as this. You only need to maintain the vectors. You need not go for, okay, what is the carrier frequency, how my modulating signal is coming and all, nothing. You have computed T1, T2 or so on, whatever. You need to only apply these vectors in this manner. If you have applied at theta equal to, at some theta, this 7230, you simply make it 0567. So we will have some more discussion on how to make this automatic without thinking so much also. So this part is clear, half-wave symmetry?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Now, the three-phase symmetry. If we try to maintain three-phase symmetry in our system, what we have, what condition we had? Anybody? What
Phase
condition?
vector should be, so phase vector should be 120-degree apart.
Correct. So whatever you are having at VRO theta or other way around, let's say the VYO theta must be same as VRO 120 degree plus theta, or VBO theta must be 120 degree plus theta of VYO. This means what? We are simply shifting whatever PWM we had for VRO by 120 degree. So we are having a translational symmetry, just shifting it by 120 degree and we are getting the next PWM. So you shift VRO, some block is there, let us say, which gives 120 degree phase shift. Then it is your VYO. You shift 120 degree, you get VBO. Getting my point? And you shift VBO by 120 degree and you are back to VRO. Understanding my point?
Yes,
This is what we have. For general PWM, when we have the alpha 1, alpha 2 and so on, these switching angles. For carrier based PWM, we said that same can be achieved if you maintain the carrier frequency as odd triplet multiple of the fundamental frequency. Is this clear? Any confusion in this?
No, sir.
Any confusion? Okay. Now here, for the space vector, we have vectors applied. So what we can say, if at theta I have applied vector 1, then at 120 degree plus theta, what vector I should have? Answers?
3.
3.
Yes. And then further 240 degree plus theta, what we should have?
5.
5.
5.
Similarly, if we have applied 2 at particular theta, what we should have at 120 plus theta?
4.
And what we should have at 240 plus theta?
6.
Understanding my point. Now, if you have sequence applied like 0, 1 to 7 at this particular theta, and you move 120 degree apart somewhere here, so what you should have basically, instead of 1, you must have 3. Instead of 2, you must have 4. And then whatever 0 vectors are changing on their own. So 0, 3, 4, 7. Sorry. Yeah, that's correct actually. Getting my point? And then again you have further 120 degree shift. So your sequence becomes what? Instead of 3, you have 5. Then 4, you have 6. And then accordingly, whichever 0 vector comes there. 0, 5, 6, 7. So here your zero vector is not changing its position. Are you seeing that?
Yes, sir.
So these are the conditions what we must maintain in conventional or any space vector PWM if we are trying to realize the vector having or realize the PWM having all the symmetries. Getting my point? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, here in a space vector, we have some more freedom. What freedom we have? That we can mix all this half wave symmetry, three phase symmetry, quarter wave symmetry. So by the way, quarter wave symmetry I have not discussed so far. I will come back to that. So we can club all this. So by clubbing half wave symmetry and three phase symmetry, what we get that if we are applying these vectors in this sequence and we want to maintain these two, half wave symmetry and three phase symmetry, simply what we can do, if any vector is applied at theta, then at 60° plus theta, the next vector must be applied, which is 60° apart. So, for example, at theta, if we have applied 1, then at 60° plus theta, what we should have? Here what we should have?
3.
And so on. So are you getting this sequence? If you are applying a vector 1 over here and you are going in cyclic manner, you see that all the vectors are applied in sequence. You need not even think much. You just need to apply what is the next vector at that particular position. So if we have 0, 1, 2, 7 applied at theta, here it automatically becomes 2, 3 and whichever corresponding 0 vectors come, 7, 2, 3, 0 at 60° plus theta. Similarly, when you come over here, 120° plus theta, this becomes automatically your 3, 4 and then corresponding 0 vectors, 0, 3, 4, 7 and similarly like this. Getting my point? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, the next part, the quarter wave symmetry. So quarter wave symmetry, we have seen that symmetry around 90° or the peak of the any particular phase, that PWM must have reflective symmetry. So if this is your peak, then around this must be same, isn't it? Or something like this. So if this is your peak, it must be same on both the sides. Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Here,
Yes, sir.
when we come to our space vector, then what we say, so this is the reflective symmetry and the same thing we maintain here also. We have reflective symmetry, but about the middle of the sector. So middle of the sector means about this alpha equal to 30°, you must have the duals applied on this different parts. So what is the dual? If you have vector 1, the next vector is 2. If you have vector 0, the next vector is 7. So if you are applying 0, 1, 2, 7 in this part, you will apply 7, 2, 1, 0 on this part. Getting my point? So let us quickly verify. This is what the condition for quarter wave symmetry. If you are applying at theta, you are applying 1. So then at 60° minus theta, which means the reflective symmetry about this middle would be 2. If you have applied 0, at 60° minus theta, it would be 7. Getting my point? Now let us see how this comes for conventional space vector PWM. So we have 0, 1, 2, 7. Then we have 7, 2, 1, 0. Then we have 0, 1, 2, 7. Now this is where our 30° line is. we are applying the vectors about that, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
you
sir.
match whatever is at theta, the dual would be at 60 degree minus theta. So conventional space vector is automatically following what is maintaining all the symmetries, even here also. So doesn't matter how many number of samples you have, you may have, so this was 3, you may check for 5 or 7 or any number. This will always be true for conventional space vector PWM. So within a sector, this is always maintaining the quarter wave symmetry and all. So once you maintain this, you have automatically ensured lot of symmetry conditions. Now, if we take across the sector what is happening. So we have 0, 1, 2, 7, 7, 2, 1, 0, 0, 1, 2, 7. This is for sector 1. Now for sector 2, what we do, we apply like 7, 2, 3, 0, 0, 3, 2, 7, then 7, 2, 3, 0. Isn't it? This is what we do, right? Is it correct or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now you match whatever is there at theta, the other vector is at, or vector which is 60 degree apart, that is applied at 60 plus theta. Getting my point? And so on. Any number of samples you have, you will maintain automatically all these symmetries in conventional space vector PWM. Understanding my point?
Yes, sir.
If you go to sector 3, so sector 3 is what? These two are 60 degree apart. Sector 3 is actually 120 degree apart from sector 1. So here you will be applying 0, 3, 4, 7, then 7, 4, 3, 0, then 0, 3, 4, 7. Again you can match. 120 degree apart means all the vectors which are 120 degree apart are applied. Getting my point? Similarly for sector 4. So we are automatically maintaining these conditions. Again, whatever was at theta, you can exactly match the 180 degree apart vector is applied at 180 degree plus theta. So how to generalize all this? No, this we are doing on every sector basis. So how to generalize? This is what we have done few lectures back when we were trying to generalize the sector. And what we said, like instead of having all these active vectors and then all these things, we can have a generalization for that. For example, we can take any sector because all are symmetric. We must ensure symmetry. So then we can take any sector, let's say sector 1. So without losing any generality, we are maintaining, we are taking sector 1. So here what we have, two vectors are given. Now we have vector 1 and vector 2 and vector 0 and vector 7. So the condition is 0 is 1 switching away from 1 and similarly 7 is 1 switching away from 2. So this we try to generalize what we said that okay, we have two active vectors, let's say A and B, and we have two zero vectors ZA and ZB. Again, ZA is only one switching away from A and ZB is only one switching away from B. Now, in this generalized sector, whichever PWM you follow, you just try to ensure the condition whatever is required for maintaining symmetry within a sector, which means whatever vector you apply between alpha 0 and 30 degree, you apply the dual vector in the 30 degree to 60 degree. Getting my point? So if you are applying, let us say, for example, a sequence like ZA, A, B in this particular part, then in here you will be applying the dual of that. What is dual of that? A, B, ZB. So dual of B is A, dual of A is B, and dual of ZA is ZB. Is that clear? Is that clear? Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Please respond so I will know what is happening. This is clear, right? Any sequence you take, let us say someone asks you, okay, apply the conventional space vector PWM. This is conventional space vector PWM in, let's say, this particular part. So next part, what you must apply is this. Getting my point? So if any sample is coming in between, that will also be symmetrically allocated. So on one side you have ZAA, on this side you have BZB. So you see that symmetry is maintained everywhere. Getting my point? So within a
Yes, sir.
sector, if we are applying active vector A, then this is at theta or any alpha, let us say, then at 30 degree plus alpha, we must apply B. If we are applying ZA at alpha, then we must apply ZB at 30 degree plus alpha. This is what is required for maintaining symmetry within the sector. Now, this we have generalized. Generalized in the sense, if you maintain that while assigning the vectors to these generalizations, let us say sector 1, sector 2, sector 3. So what we do, we maintain the cyclic order. Let us say in sector 1, your A is 1, B is 2, this is 7, this is 0. Now when you go to sector 2, so I will maybe drop it here for clarity. So when you go to sector 2, here you have 2 and 3. So this becomes 2, this becomes 3. So on, all the vectors sector 4. So this is again coming as cyclic 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the 6 vectors. This is also coming cyclic 3, 4, 5, 6 and then 1. Then these two just change their positions 0, 7, 0, 7, 0, 7, 0, 7, 0, 7, 0. Getting my point? This way, what we have done, we have automatically maintained this 60 degree symmetry or symmetry across the sector when we have made this kind of arrangement for the generalized sector. Whatever is vector A for sector 1, it is 60 degree apart for sector 2. Then again it is 60 degree apart for sector 3. 60 degree apart. This is 60 degree apart. This is 60 degree apart. Similarly here also. And these are just changing their positions. So if you maintain these two things, this is assigning your vectors in the complete hexagon. How do you do? So you go in the sequential manner 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. And this is changing. If this is 0, this is 7. And then this is getting interchanged. And apart from this, if you maintain the symmetry within the sector, which means for any vector applied at alpha, you apply its dual at 30 degree plus alpha. Then, sorry, not 30 degrees plus alpha, this must be 60 degree minus alpha. So to say something at 30 degree minus alpha, then the dual must be 30 degree plus alpha. These two vectors must be dual. This is same thing. Alpha to 60 degree minus alpha, and these two are actually the same things. So if you are applying any vector alpha, any vector at alpha, the dual must be applied at 60 degree minus alpha. Or in other words, if you have any vector at 30 degree minus alpha, the dual must be at 30 degree plus alpha. So with these, we can take any sequence and we can synthesize our PWM without losing any symmetry in the system. So any complex sequence, let us say 1 0 1 0 1 2, and then you have, if this is your one part of PWM, then obviously you know on the other part you are going to have this 2. So it will start with 1 2 7 2 and then 7 2. So you can see how this duality is maintained. Getting my point? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Even for complex sequences like this, if we follow the simple rules, now this you can generalize. Let's say you write like A, ZA, ZA, A, B. Then here you can write simply A, B, ZB, B, ZB, B. That's all. You have synthesized and you know what to assign for A, B, ZA and ZB, depending on which sector you are in. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Any confusion about symmetry?
No, sir.
So we have discussed like how to realize a particular sequence or how to go on generalizing any PWM, whichever we are doing in, let's say the carrier based or any other common mode injected or anything, even your low switching frequency. So this is a much broader term. Even these sequences you cannot realize using your carrier based PWM. So these are something which are realizable only with the space vector PWM. So which means this is a much bigger domain in which the carrier based PWM is only a subset, and then your low switching frequency is only a subset. These are all subset of this bigger set, which is a space vector PWM. Then conventional is also a smaller subset of this space vector PWM set. Getting my point?
Yes,
Is this
sir.
clear? So any sequence can be synthesized using this method, the space vector PWM, while maintaining all the symmetry conditions which we have discussed just now. Now next point would be to know like which sequence is actually advantageous for us. We cannot simply keep on applying any sequence and then expect good result. There should be some measure for that. Like we had this THD and all that for our this low switching frequency PWM. Then we had the current ripple analysis for our sine triangle PWM. So there must be some analysis for conventional space vector or space vector based PWM. So that we will see after our midterm examination. So up to this point, this will be part of your midterm examination. And to disclose few things, that your examination would be open book. So you will be allowed